Chronicles TV on air. We are now live in 3, 2, 1.
Welcome back to another episode of the Great Ace Attorney Chronicles. In the previous episode, we were in Dr. Seid's laboratory at the forensic science area. Today's episode right now, we're going to go into Madame Tuspo's museum place. If you have today's episode, make sure that like button support this great channel because we still have no way whatsoever as to how we're going to get into the experimental stage. And the body's gone. Oh my, I wonder why it's called the House of Horrors. I like to turn on my heels and go straight home via the confectionery. Being scared makes you crave sweets. I can understand that. The security guard's gone! I was looking forward to the reunion after 6 months away, but there's no sign of Mr. Sholmes anywhere. That's strange. He should be here investigating the abduction of the waxwork. Oh well, I suppose we'll just have to come back again later. Can I go around? We never did fully examine this area. This one's posture reveals his weakness. Sorry? The killer's stance leaves him wide open to attack. I'm quite sure I could see him off. With a Susato takedown, then a Susato squash, and finally a Susato smash. Right. And that doesn't render the culprit unconscious, a Susato slam should finish him. A Susato slam. Oh, I'm sorry, it's rather hard to explain. Leave yourself open slightly and I'll demonstrate. Absolutely not. Yeah, you can tell just by the way his stance is. Just living it. That's gotta be hide, right? Yes, the heavy curtains in the middle of the House of Horrors. Whatever's on the other side of them, you just know it's going to be terrifying, don't you? The sign says it's the Madame Tuspo special exhibit. It seems you have to pay extra to go inside. I know! Can you believe that? Pay more money as we haven't been scared enough already? It's not my doing, Mr. Naruhodo. Alright. Anyways, back, I guess. Let's see if we can get any access to there. I don't know. They didn't give us anything to show proof that we can go up there, did he? Oh, hold up. I think I was supposed to... Wait. No. I'm supposed to go to the set... I'm going to the place, aren't I? I'm supposed to be going to that place. Oh, wait a minute. We didn't get that thing? I thought we unlocked the set area. Huh, I thought we did. Okay, Gina, do you know anything about this? About this, Gina. Yeah, I'm still learning me letters at the moment. I know A to E, so if it ain't too much bleeding trouble. Actually, Gina, it's the back of the card that's important. Eh? Oh, come on. There's just a dirty old smudge on the back, that's all. It turns out that this is a very high quality French machine oil. It has a very particular scent, apparently. You don't say. Let's have a whiff, then. You sure? I don't smell nothing. No, we didn't mean that you should smell it. Oh, right. You mean Toby. Aww. His sense of smell is so good he can track people over the oceans, can he? Professor Harebrain informed us that this oil is unique to Mr. Drebber's workshop. What is it, boy? What is it? Go, boy, go! I think he's picked up the scent. So you mean if he follows the scent to this oil, Toby could lead us to the dodgy Cove's workshop? That's right. That's exactly what we're hoping for. Alright then, we'll give it a go. I'll just borrow that. Wait, when did you? Once a pickpocket, always a pickpocket. If I can lead everyone to Drebber's workshop, I'll be the boss's boss before next week. Oh yes, Gina. I'm sure you'll be promoted. Poor Gregson. Gina, we were actually hoping that we could investigate the scene again. Yeah, alright. If it's around here, you can do what you like. Oh, that's alright, is it? I'm gonna be playing with me new friend here. Ah, yes, Toby. The machine that exploded must be at the top of those stairs, I presume. I haven't actually seen it yet, so if you don't mind. Sorry, you can't go up there, Suze. Oh! It's like I told Otto yesterday, even I ain't allowed near that wreck. What's it called again? The reason we ain't supposed to touch it? It's been nullified! That's the one. That's why only them lot are allowed to investigate. What are they called again? The forensic something? The forensic investigation team. Did we not just run through this? That's the one. Yeah. But isn't the case that special suspension has been lifted? I think so. Did we not just went through this? Did we not just went through this? Did we not just went through this? Thank you. You what? You met him? Last time the boss was called to go in and see him, he waited for 3 hours at the Cope's office and came back sniveling. Tragic. Well, Lord Strongheart has given us permission to examine the scene as long as we touch nothing. Oh yeah? Honestly. Alright then, go ahead. But if it turns out you're lying, it'll be the boss who gets it. He'll never eat another chip again in his life. So, you're still saying all this is above board, are ya? I'm sure everything will be fine. That really would be tragic. Alright then, them's the stairs. Off you go. Thank you, Gina. Alright, we're finally moving up. Right then, Otto, leave it to me. Sorry? We're gonna get going after the dodgy engineer cove right this minute. Oh, but hang on. Someone's supposed to be on guard duty here all the time. I'm afraid we can't help. We need to get on with the investigation as well, Gina. Oh, right. Oh, well, never mind. It ain't gonna be me what's gonna in the neck. It'll be the boss. Poor Gregson. Again. Ready, Toby? Got that oil scent, have ya? Come on then, boy. See you later. I do hope the scent of the oil leads them to that swindler's workshop. Yes, I hope so too. Ideally, before the dog swims across the channel to France. Alrighty then, let's move up. Going up, going up, going up. Let's see. 23rd. The Great Exhibit Grounds Experimentation Stage. Oh my, so this is the machine? That was used to deceive people into thinking instantaneous kinesis has taken place? Yes, that's right. Or rather, it was the machine. It was a little worse for wear at the moment. What extraordinary lengths Professor Harebrain went to order to obtain the research grant. No. The professor was tricked as well. He didn't know anything about it. Yes, of course. It was amazing though, isn't it? The scale of the whole affair is very British. You're right about that. You never see such a grand deception in Japan, that's for sure. Oh, look, is that Lord von Zykes? So I think we're more or less than done here, aren't we? Shall we, Mr. Sato? Already? He is the Reaper, remember? We do well to keep our distance, I think. But we have permission to be here, from the top. We're perfectly well allowed to investigate this machine, as long as we don't touch anything. From the top? Do you mean Lord Strongheart? Exactly. So we can stay here and stare at this wreckage for as long as we like. It could have been the center of the explosion here, and it could have been her steel wheel. Least approachable man in the world. Winner 10 years in a row. Be strong, Mr. Naruto. Your country and your assistants stand firm behind you. Lord von Zykes. What? Well, beautiful weather we're having, isn't it? I thought I was making it quite clear that I didn't want to be disturbed.
Apparently, you Nipponese are unequipped to read the signs.
Oh, I read them.
So, what are you doing here? Entry to this area is prohibited.
Well, the thing is, Lord Chief Justice Strongheart granted us permission to investigate, on the condition that we didn't disturb anything.
And yet, you've managed to disturb me. Never mind. State your business then.
Come to think of it, there are quite a few things I'd like to ask Lord Von Zykes about. Not least of which that awful case, even though it's nothing to do with this. Ask away, Mr. Naruhodo. You won't know unless you try. So, Clint was the name of your older brother, I understand, Lord Von Zykes?
You Nipponese. I always have to be on guard whenever you're around. So, you've been investigating me, have you?
Oh, no, it's not like that. Well, alright, it's a bit like that.
My older brother was also a prosecutor. He was the pride of the Von Zykes family. But tragically, a vicious killer took him from us.
The professor, you mean? Is it something funny?
That's the extent of what you've been discovered, is it? I shouldn't be surprised.
Sorry? There's more to it then?
Lackluster work is very much your trademark, isn't it?
You're too kind. Are you going to tar all Nipponese with the same brush next?
So tell me, what's your interest in this historic incident?
As it happens, Lord Von Zykes, there's a rather curious case that come to our attention. Are you aware of the Madame Tussaud's Museum of Waxwork by any chance?
I am, naturally. I believe that since last month I feature in one of the displays there for public scorn.
Of course, the infamous Reaper of the Bailey would have to be exhibited when he... Well, a particular waxwork has been stolen from the place and held for ransom.
A particular waxwork, which... Wait, you mean...
Yes, it's the professor. Mr. Schultz is investigating the case as we speak.
I was unaware of that.
He's turned as white as a sheet. Are the police trying to locate the engineer?
Surely that goes without saying.
We've already keen to see him found as well. The trouble is we don't have much to go on aside from the description of the man we heard in court earlier. Which, according to the Professor Hairbrain, was a tall, thin gentleman who has straight, white hair and wears a black monocle.
So I was just
wondering. I mean, I realize it's probably not possible, but we very much appreciate any more clues you can give us. Wow, Susato really knows how to talk the bull by the horns.
Fine, why not? I have a photograph of the man here from the investigation 10 years ago.
Yo!
Though it appears he already had that black monocle at the time.
Could be the father.
What?
Oh, nothing. I was just surprised that you shared that with us.
We all need the man's testimony in court tomorrow,
which means we have to do everything we possibly can to track him down in the short time available.
So why wouldn't I show you the photograph?
What is it about Lord Von Zykes? Something I just can't work him out at all. Photograph print of the engineer. He said 10 years ago, right? The man said 10 years ago. Kazuma? The file request. Let me double check one real quick. Let's see. I have a photograph of the man here from investigation. From an investigation. Got it.
Thank you.
Are you all right? Who is this man, Mr. Naruhodo? Lord Von Zykes' apprentice, apparently. So I'm not the only one. Susato-san can see it too. Lord Von Zykes? May we speak with your apprentice for a moment?
With him? Why? Kazuma?
Kazuma-sama!
Kazuma?
I don't believe it. Your posture, your presence. It can only be... It's you, isn't it, Kazuma? I felt something strange the very first time I encountered this cloaked figure. As if I knew him somehow. Can it really be you, Kazuma? Wait! Too late.
What's going on here? What is your interest in my apprentice exactly? You act as if you know the man or something.
Well, since when has he been in your care? I don't recall you having an apprentice before I left Britain 6 months ago.
Lord Strongheart introduced him to me about 3 months ago now, with instructions to mentor him as a prosecutor.
But he didn't tell you why, did he?
The man appears to be suffering from amnesia. He's forgotten every last detail about himself.
He has amnesia?
Tomorrow he will appear in court at my side.
What?
He's to serve as my judicial assistant on Lord Strongheart's orders.
He'll be in court with us?
Now then, unless I'm much mistaken, I believe this conversation has run its course.
Oh, yes, thank you. I definitely saw a reaction there. When Susato called out like that, it really seemed to have a nerve. When she called out Kazuma-sama.
Alright, we know what to do. Let's get the heck out of here. Okay, we got nowhere to go. Okay. Let's just look around. Look at that horn-sharing transmitting device. Isn't it amazing?
That's exactly what I thought when I first saw it. It makes you think, doesn't it? If only it had just been a normal horn, none of this would have happened.
That's almost exactly what I thought as well. But I bet I can predict what you're going to say next in that case. You're about to say, nothing ever goes to plan, aren't you?
Oh no, I would never say something like that.
Alright then. Oh, the man was right. However much I look at them, just can't come to terms with the Tamari handballs floating in the sky.
You've been glaring at them constantly since we came up here.
Sorry, the feelings of wanting to ride in one and wanting to never set foot in one are fighting it out inside me.
But if you don't look where you're walking, you might fall from the stage.
I don't think I noticed. That's how fiercely the battle inside me is raging.
I think you should make peace with riding in one, Mr. Naruto. It really would it would be much safer that way.
The Ferris wheel.
What a terrible explosion it must have been. Even the steel girders have been buckled and twisted in the blast.
And what they called the birdcage was alright in the middle of it all, just here.
But look, Mr. Naruto, that metal grill on the floor. Looks as though it's designed to open.
It does, doesn't it?
If the floor had opened at the precise moment the explosion occurred, the birdcage could have dropped through and disappeared from sight. I don't think there's any doubt that this was a very elaborate hoax, is there?
I wasn't even looking at that. This wasn't here yesterday.
Really? But if I'm not mistaken, it's the cage in which the victim was standing before he was apparently beamed through the air.
That's right, the birdcage. According to what Professor Hairbrain said in court, it's made of wood.
More precisely, Japanese cypress, I think. Despite having been an explosion and then falling from a great height, it's relatively unharmed. What wonderfully durable construction wouldn't you say, Mr. Naruto? Understood the forensic science team had taken it away yesterday to examine it. I suppose they must have brought it back here when they finished their work. But sadly, not with the body inside it. No, that's right. I know we were given strict instructions not to touch anything, but still. This is too important as a piece of evidence to overlook. We might need it for the trial. That big old thing? You already met the masked man, hadn't you, Mr. Naruhodo? Yeah, yesterday, in fact, at Lord Von Zyke's office. I see. And if Kazuma-sama is still alive, it's that Mr. Sholmes lied to us. I know. We're going to need to speak to him about that.
You're going to have to leave now. The forensic investigation team are due to arrive shortly. If they find you here, it will cause problems.
What sort of problems?
Foreign affair problems.
Well, we could do without that.
Alright, we'll be on our way. Let's go, Mr. Sato.
Of course. Well, I think we've done all the investigating we can here for now. If we could just determine the whereabouts of Mr. Drebber. I'm sure Gina and little Toby won't let us down. Now then, do you think we ought to try to speak with Mr. Sholmes at this point? We have things to discuss, and I'm dying to meet him again after all these months. Yes, it's quite possible he might know something useful. You're right. We ought to find him at Madame Tuspel's. He's supposed to be working there as a temporary waxwork exhibit. Yes! Iris told me all about that in his latest unusual venture.
Alright, we're back here again.
Here we are again at the House of Horrors. I'm afraid I haven't gotten used to the place yet. I still like to turn on my heels and go straight home, via the confectionery, of course.
Susato really is after something sweet today, isn't she?
What's the matter? Look, Mr. Naruhodo, look at that waxwork. I'm quite sure it wasn't there before. It looks exactly like Mr. Sholmes, down the very last detail. What is it?
Oh, sorry, I think you'll find that's the temporary waxwork himself.
Ah, the friend of my dedicated employee.
Oh, yes, hello again. It's Ryunosuke Naruhodo.
I must say I'm quite spellbound by the great detective. He is marvel. My precious waxwork is already back where it belongs.
You don't mean...
Yeah, but yes, the mystery is solved already.
Wow, Mr. Sholmes can really engage his brain when he's hungry enough.
So as you can see, he has returned to his habitual duties.
Yes.
His habitual duties? Alors, do not disturb her, huh?
Poor Susato-san, she looks very perplexed. Well, we know what we do.
We really do need to speak with Mr. Sholmes. I'm logging to say hello again, but where is he?
Haha! I think you might find that he's quite nearby, actually.
Oh, what do you...
Indeed, my dear fellows, it is I! The world infamous, famous detective and waxwork Sherlock Sholmes. She fainted. Susato! Susato! My most humble apologies.
I thought I died and gone to eternal paradise for a moment, via London.
My dear madam, allow me to make amends by offering you a tasty free deduction at some point, as long as it's not of questionable street food quality.
I don't understand. Why are you working as a waxwork here, Mr. Sholmes?
Merely a secret identity, you understand, though the case is largely solved now.
Largely solved?
We're talking about the waxwork abduction, I presume. Indeed we are, my good fellow. As I predicted, it was as easy as proverbial pie. Proverbial. Though I confess I'm yet to partake of the pie, proverbial or otherwise, or any food so far today for that matter. That stomach rumble echoed around the whole museum. So how did you manage to solve it so quickly? Ah, well, do you remember I said it was largely solved? Anyway, I simply negotiated with the culprit. Are you familiar with the so-called telephone?
Oh yes, it's the most modern invention, allowing you to hold a conversation with people far away. In Japan, only the imperial capital and a handful of other cities are connected as yet.
This morning, a telephone call was received here from the perpetrator of the abduction. As such, I was able to negotiate terms, and in the end, the waxwork has returned. That's amazing. Just between you and I, it would appear the culprit had always intended to return the stolen waxwork in any event.
But I thought whoever was responsible had demanded a ransom, no?
Yes, I think perhaps the ransom demand was necessary to avoid unwanted suspicion regarding the true motive.
But does that not mean your negotiating was entirely unnecessary?
A fact that I must ask you to keep from Madame Tussville's at all costs. A hungry young Iris awaits my return to Baker Street after all. Poor Iris. Now then, do I sense that you have some business with the great waxwork? We're in the process of trying to track somebody down. Oh.
Yes, a man named Enoch Dreber. He's the swindler who duped Professor Hairbrain and the engineer who built the kinesis machine.
A swindler and an engineer. Quite the modern man. He's also seemed to be a conjurer of sorts, too, with considerable knowledge of stage magic. We really need to locate him before the trial resumes tomorrow morning. But we have so few clues to go on, that's the trouble.
Do you have any good ideas?
I have no data yet. It's a capital mistake to have good ideas before one has data. If I knew something of the man's appearance, at least I may be in a better position to help. Yes, Dreber's appearance. Fortunately for you, however, presently I have little to occupy myself and little to fill my stomach. As soon as you find a clue, no matter how small, I should gladly give you my thoughts on it. Hold up. Hold up. Hold up. Mr. Sholmes, would you cast your eyes over this photographic print?
It's of Mr. Enoch Dreber, the face of the engineer we seek.
Well, all the Englishmen look broadly the same, of course, so looking at the photograph won't be particularly instructive. Are you alright, Mr. Sholmes? Ah, yes, forgive me. So very interesting, very interesting indeed.
What's wrong, Mr. Sholmes? You turned quite pale all of a sudden.
Mr. Sholmes, did you lie to us? My dear Mr. Naruhodo, stay the piercing stare. What is this about?
Last winter, when we were first on our way to Britain, aboard the steamship, your words were very clear. So then,
let us unravel this mystery and discover what events led to this curious murder.
You told us that it was murder, and you examined Kazuma-sama's body.
Indeed, and wherein lies the problem? We met him earlier today. The victim, Kazuma Asogi. You're quite sure?
He was wearing some sort of mask and was apparently suffering from amnesia. But yes, I'm quite sure it was Kazuma-sama. You must have known at the time, Mr. Sholmes, that he wasn't actually dead?
Well, I can only assume I was swept up in the murderous atmosphere at the moment. but the fellow wasn't dead at all. Ha 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 ha. Priceless. I don't suppose that performance would pass muster, would it, Mr. Naruhodo? I could believe that the crewman present at the time made a mistake. But not you, Mr. Sholmes. I will now tell you something of the first importance, my dear fellow. Great detectives are wont to lie. It will serve you well to remember. Great detectives are wont... What? Please, Mr. Sholmes. Tomorrow in court, you will find yourself on the threshold of the very great mystery. For now, I'm afraid that is all I can say. I have a suggestion, Mr. Naruhodo. Will you indulge me? Oh, well, what is it? As I explained to you when you arrived, the missing waxwork has been returned, and I personally reinstalled it in the exhibit from which it was taken, behind those thick curtains. Oh yes, the Professor exhibit, isn't it? Would you like to see it? For a mere 5 shillings? That's a special one-time only price, you understand? What? The opportunity won't come again, I might add. Wouldn't you like to see the fruits of my labor? Oh, well, we do have rather pressing investigation to carry out. Perhaps we could postpone? The price is a very reasonable 5 shillings. I think you'll find it well worth it. Are you being quite serious, Mr. Sholmes? Surely you need only look at my expression to ascertain if this is seriousness or silliness. I can never tell with you. That's the point. Very well, it couldn't hurt. Here's your 5 shillings. Gratefully received. So, the special exhibit awaits behind the curtain. I invite you to peruse it at your leisure. Well, the money's been spent, so let's go see the special exhibit. Open sesame! Through those heavy curtains at last. It's gonna be the guy that we're supposed to look for. Open! 5 shillings we had to pay. It doesn't seem right somehow that Mr. Sholmes slipped the money into their own pocket, does it? No. Ah, we could ask Gina to retrieve it for us, using her special skills. Pickpocketing of police officers and dealing detectives. Is this what makes Brennan great? Not to mention demigod prosecutors taking the law into their own hands and chip-loving inspectors. Inspector Gregson comes off rather well in that list, I think. Open it! 23rd October, Madam Tusk. Why do we have to go through this? Yo! He's headless. Huh? Oh dear. I felt a shiver down my spine as soon as we walked in here. Mr. Sato! I say we turn our heads and heels and go home via a really big confectionery. We certainly can't do that. We paid 5 shillings already. True. You want to talk about the guy that we encountered? Actually, now I'm looking at more closely. We've paid good money to see at an exhibit that's clearly incomplete. The nerve of the great diddling detective is far more terrifying than anything else in the place. This must be what Mr. Sholmes meant when he said there was a largely solved. Be that as it may, Mr. Sholmes heavily implied that there'd be a clue about the engineer here, didn't he? But where? Since we paid 5 shillings, let's do 5 shillings worth of investigation, shall we? Yes, we will give what we paid for. Is that fear of frustration that's making Sasato's voice tremble? It's part of the exhibit. It's just as disturbing as the rest. It looks so real. Seems to be a young man in a white overcoat. And he has a large shovel in his hand too. Look. Perhaps we should investigate in a little more detail. Hey, get up there. What? What's this here? Well, this could be a lens in the middle, so I believe it's probably a camera? A camera? But it's so small. British technology is incredible, isn't it? I mean, what about Mr. Sholmes' skin prints? I think perhaps you should treat Mr. Sholmes' inventions as exceptions to the rule. But anyway, why would the man be engraved at night with the camera? I wonder, perhaps he was trying to capture the moment a dead body came back as a ghost on film? Well, we'll just borrow this for a little while, I think. Ooh. By looking at the photographic plate inside the camera, we can see what picture was taken. What a photographic plate. It's a piece of glass coated in special emulsion that reacts to the light coming in through the lens. If we open the cover at the back of the camera, we should find it. Let's have a look. You should see yourself, Susato. Your eyes are shining. You really do like machinery, don't you? Hey, hold up. Get it back over there. I can't see his face very well, can you? Perhaps if I just... Oh, dude, do you think he may be manhandling the exhibit, Mr. Naruto? I'll put it back exactly as it was, don't worry. What on earth? How can... I don't believe it. A black monocle. Mr. Naruto, is it possible this man is... Yes. It's Enoch Drebber. The color of his hair is different, but it's unmistakably him. Indeed it is. Mr. Sholmes! This man is the subject of your present hunt, I believe. Yes, that's right. Just who is this man? Why is he here in this exhibit? And why does the convict behind him have no head? The head was missing when the model was returned by the thief who stole it. What a surprise. So then the case isn't yet solved, is it? Did I not say so myself? Largely solved were my words, I believe. I must locate the missing head. Tout de suite, as Madame would say, or I'll be in grave trouble. I'm very hungry. I still wait my return to Baker Street, preferably with rations. Ugh. Do you know, though, something about this room is strange. Strange? What do you mean? Well, the displays in the House of Horrors are supposed to depict real events, are they not? Indeed they are, Mr. Sato. They go on. And as terrifying as they are, the scenes in the other exhibit are believable. But this one... This surely couldn't be ever really have happened, could it? I think it's time I educate you a little more about the nature of the incident involving the professor 10 years ago. I believe I told you a little about the professor yesterday, did I not? He took the lives of 5 victims, everyone being either a victim of the aristocracy or royalty. All were attacked by an enormous hunting hound and had their throats ripped from their bodies. Oh gosh, an enormous hound? How awful. After taking the life of his 5th victim, the killer was apprehended. It was a case of unprecedented magnitude of Britain. You understand accordingly. The professor was tried in a closed court. No members of the public were permitted. A closed court? So you mean the professor's identity? As you surmise, my dear fellow, his identity was never made public. Naturally, he was found guilty and was summarily sentenced to death by hanging. And he was buried in a grave at Lowgate Cemetery, which adjoins the rear of the prison where he had been held. However, that was not the end of the affair. Oh. The very night that he was buried, the convicted man came back to life. Came back to life? He clawed his way out of the ground and emerged into the moonlit graveyard. The exhibit here depicts the very scene as described by the sole witness to those chilling events. There was a witness? But of course, my dear fellow, it was none other than the young man in the white overcoat. And not Drebber. He saw it happen? So this is a waxwork model of Enoch Drebber? 10 years ago, the convicted professor, having been gibbeted and buried, emerged from his grave in the dead of night. The sole witness to that unimaginable scene was this young man, From appearances, I would say he was about 20 years old.
It's so horrifying.
Scared of his wits, the young Dribber ran to a nearby police station to report this incident. And the sheer terror of what he's seen is said to have turned his hair white overnight. Yes, as shown in the photograph we have of him, his hair is completely white. For the following few days, the story of what he's seen was on every front page in the capital. The public was frantic for every last detail about the killer who come back to life. As you've seen, an exhibit was even created here at Madame Tussauds.
I can quite understand why the man's hair turned white, certainly. But what I don't understand is what Mr. Drebber was doing in the first place, in a lonely graveyard in the middle of the night.
Yes, what was he up to? The professor's acts of terror threw London upper classes into a complete panic 10 years ago. It was a great scandal, one might say, as the very highest level of society. And since the killer's identity was never made public, rumors abounded. After all, no killer had ever been systematically employed a dog as a weapon of murder. Yes, I can imagine the impact the case must have had. By the time, of course, the rumors abated. So too did the talk of shocking witnesses' account of the convict who came back to life. It was forgotten, dismissed as a dubious ghost story, as preposterous parlor tale.
But why did people stop believing it?
Why? Simply because there was no resurrection to speak, as we established in fact.
What do you mean by no resurrection?
The police investigated the grave in Lowgate Cemetery and published their findings. The convict's body was found to be buried exactly where it had been following the execution.
But that would mean Mr. Drebber must have lied to the police and the newspapers.
That would appear to be the only logical explanation, yes. The young man subsequently vanished from society and nothing has been heard of since. It's rather striking, then, that he should resurface now, don't you think? Of course, this convicted murder couldn't really have come back to life. That's not possible. But Trevor's hair is unusually white. If that really did happen overnight as a result of shock, it's hard to believe the incident was an out-and-out lie.
This must be the killer, the fiend known as the Professor.
Yes, I think so. According to what Madame Tussauds said, he killed 5 victims, all noble royal blood.
The waxwork is so lifelike, isn't it? Like all the models in this place.
I know, it looks like it could start moving at any moment, doesn't it? If only it had a head, that is. Perhaps we should examine a little more detail. But what's the number?
So this is condemned man.
Yes, the so-called professor.
Then perhaps his head was chopped off by guillotine. But unable to find peace, he emerged from his grave as a headless ghost.
Do we have to entertain such terrifying ideas, Mr. Sato? Anyway, I'm sure the bottle had a head once. There's a metal fitting for it, see? And perhaps Mr. Jones absentmindedly forgot to reattach it. That's extremely absent-minded detective you're describing, isn't it?
Or perhaps the thief absentmindedly forgot to include the head when he or she returned to the museum.
And that would be extremely absent-minded thief. Could there have been some reason why only the head wasn't returned? Well, whatever the reason, it means we don't know what the face of the infamous professor looked like, do we? Oh! There's something caught just inside the convict's jacket here. It looks like a piece of broken glass. A quite big piece too.
It's very thick. It's about 5 times thicker than a normal window. Glazing, I'd say.
Where would such thick piece of glass come from, I wonder?
I suppose it must have been thick to increase its strength.
But why?
Well, perhaps because the glass had spanned a particularly wide area, such as a big building, for example.
Ah, well, we've seen a large glass building recently, haven't we? Some of the glass was broken too.
You don't mean...
Exactly. The Crystal Tower, the Great Exhibition.
But why would the glass from the towers be lodged inside the waxwork's jacket?
That makes you think, doesn't it? Earlier in Kurt, we established that the kinesis experiment was a trick, and now we discovered this fragment of glass here in this waxwork. Is it just a coincidence? Okay. Anything else? Who was next to him? Who?
What the bleeding Nora Otto? What have you gone in and done?
Gina, what are you doing here?
I asked Iris and she said this is where you be. So, Gina, that's a lot in the museum.
Madam Tuspels will have you take a position as a waxwork if you're not careful. I think there might be a more pressing concern.
I still had some flash powder left from 6 months ago, so, Gina, alright, we understand, but please, put the gun down. Sorry, I got scared.
You should try being the one on the other end of the barrel. So, what brings you in here, Gina?
What brings me here? What do you think? We found it. We found the doggy car workshop.
What? You found Drebber's workshop?
Yep, Tubby's nose took me straight there. The boss and the others are heading over there now in a drag, so come on. Here's the address. I got the boss to write it out. Oh, thank you, Gina. We'll make our way there at once. Alright then, see you there.
You go. Don't mind me. I'll just stay here, being still. What? I know my place. In the exhibit over there.
Oh dear, someone is feeling sorry for himself.
Let's go, Mr. Sholmes. You're coming. Your words hearten me, I must say, but if I were to shirk my duties here, Madam would have me pay monetary recompense. And Nara's dinner plate would be, forget that, I'll pay for everything. Then there's no moment to lose, my dear fellow. I shall hail a carriage at once. No offer to share the cost from Mr. Sholmes, then.
I shall gladly pay half, Mr. Naruto.
Thank you, Mr. Sato. Right, let's go. Can we go straight into it?